Abbott Elementary Season 3, Episode 7, Librarian, and Season 3, Episode 8 panel are over, but class is back in session here at recapkickback.com. It's me, Chappell, your host here, taking you through the next 2 episodes of Abbott Elementary. While we're in this brief Abbott hiatus, I felt like we need to give you something. And so with me, of course, per usual, the head principal here at the Recap Kickback, it's Gia Worthy. Gia, what's up?
Oh my God. I have had the craziest week of my life. So I'm so happy that now I get to sit down and talk about a show that brings me so much joy and so much happiness. Chappell, though, I have to ask after I just watched this last episode, when are we doing a podcasters versus fans basketball game? I just feel like that's something that we need to consider.
You know, watching the players in this episode being, that Gregory seemed to be taking it very seriously and everybody else was just kind of there. I don't know. I'm not very competitive, Gia. You might not know this about me, but I'm a vibes guy.
You're a Slytherin. What are you telling me you're not competitive? Stop it.
I'm ambitious. I'm ambitious, but I don't play stuff I don't think I can win. And so, although I think I would do great in the podcast or basketball game, I'd be vibing out too hard. I was very much enjoying seeing them in this role. Seeing Gregory stress about it, seeing Barbara playing her heart out and also scoring on the wrong basket. How do you think we do in that game?
I don't know. No, okay, so it depends what the lineup is. Because if we're doing like RHAP versus Recap Kickback.
Yeah,
something like, I think Recap Kickback's
got it.
Right? Am I wrong?
We got it. We got it.
I think we're smoking people. Now, if we're doing podcasters in general versus fans, I feel like we need to pick out the fans. Like, I don't know. I feel like that could be our undoing right there. And I'm not sure if, and this is also just not equating to the fact that I am not personally good at basketball, but like, I do have the confidence that like, I could at least shoot in the correct basket, ideally.
Right.
In the perfect world. Yeah.
Okay. No, I feel good about this team. I already feel good about it. Me and you, and then, whatever our other 3 starting 5 will be. And then against some listeners, like you said, we get to select who they are. So if you're listening to this and if you're shorter than 6 foot, call us. We're definitely going to. Yeah, we'll have the basketball game set up. If you have an astigmatism or something like that, any physical ailments or disabilities, please sign up for the basketball game so that Gia and I can beat you.
Yes.
Barely. That's the goal.
I look great in the jersey. I think that is what I will bring to the team.
Yeah, I think that's the one problem that we would have is that then you and I would get caught up on the things that don't matter. The basketball game.
We would need to have color coordinated jerseys. Like it just needs to happen. Yeah.
Entrance music as well. It'd be a whole thing. I just think that. Right, exactly. We're here. We're showmen, and if nothing else.
Exactly. We may lose, but we will look good doing it. That is the most important thing.
Listen, you ain't never lied.
No one likes a busted loser. I'm sorry.
Exactly. You look, if you're gonna win in style, and if you're gonna lose even better.
Yeah.
So I agree. This was a fun intro to the episode. Definitely something that I wasn't expecting. It's just seeing Tariq even as the person who set this up, being so that he is over the parent teacher, the PTO or whatever. He's the liaison. He's the head of it, and he's using this as a fundraiser. But he's not raising any funds. He even said he had to rent the gym, but I thought they were at Abbott.
I am not sure what he meant by rent the gym. Like, did they have to did Ava charge him just because? Probably. Yeah, like that makes more sense. But I don't know. I'm very confused why they had to rent a gym. They had to pay a DJ, which is I don't know why a DJ is necessary to a basketball game, but I trust the process.
I'm pretty sure Mr. Johnson was the DJ. That's what I'm saying. I'm having some issues here with this whole setup for the basketball game, but we'll get to it. Thank you all again for listening to Recap Kickback, for leaving your reviews, 5-star reviews only. We're always accepting those comments. Talk to us about the show. We love that kind of stuff because we love Abbott Elementary. We love seeing these characters and seeing these actors really shine in these roles. And so, episode season 3, episode 7, we got the Librarian. Season 3, episode 8, we got Panel. And these are 2 different vibes of episodes, but a lot of fun in both of them. Let's just go ahead and just jump right into it. We kind of talked about the basketball game, but prior to that, one of the headlines that I've been dying to talk to you about is that Melissa needs a roommate, and she has found one. And Gia, I don't know, man. This might be one of my favorite pairs on Abbott Elementary. I didn't know we needed this.
It was so, and I believe I asked this question last episode recap that we did, but it just seemed crazy to me that in the span of, we're on episode 7 and 8 now, so like in 6 episodes, maybe even 5, I can't remember when the breakup was, but we had 2 main couples in Abbott Elementary breakup. It was Melissa and Gary broke up in the premiere, and then a couple episodes later, Jacob and Zack break up, which I really was not expecting, and it just seemed all happening very quickly. And then on top of all of that, we had the I put a period on that, Gregory.
Yeah.
My life right there. But so it just seemed like we had a lot of breakups going into this season, like very early in the season. I don't know how many episodes we're expecting from season 3, but it just all happened very fast. I had no idea why they felt they needed to do it all so quickly, but now it's all coming together. Like my Kronk voice is coming in there. It's like, oh, I see what they're doing here. This is amazing. For those that aren't sure exactly what we're talking about, Jacob is the roommate of Melissa now. She was looking for a non-serial killer that wants a cozy nook with a view of Philly, and she found one in Jacob. And at first it seems like this is just a disaster waiting for to happen here, but it's kind of an incredible duo right now.
Yeah. This is perfect. I cannot think of a better situation. You're right. I think they had to break Gary and Zack up out of this, to kind of free Jacob and Melissa to explore the friendship. We talk about this a little bit, where there's certain pairings that you just know you're going to get fired every time. And Abbott's really playing around with some of those combinations. We see that, Jacob and Gregory are kind of a duo. We've seen them in different roles. Jacob's really pushing that on Gregory as well. Like, hey, and Gregory's inviting it. They're very good friends at this point. But we rarely see just Jacob and Melissa. I actually don't think we've ever seen just the 2 of them without maybe like Barbara or something as a proxy. No,
I've been rewatching season 2 lately, and I can't. The only thing I can think of is when it was like the parent teacher conferences, and Jacob kind of like swindles her and Mr. Johnson out of money, but Mr. Johnson is also there. I don't remember too many of them where it's just Jacob and Melissa, and I'm wondering if that was something that the writers picked up on and realized maybe if they're already planning to break up these couples anyway, why not make a fun new duo out of it?
Yeah, it works if you think about it. If we've never really gotten Jacob and Melissa on screen, it makes sense for this storyline too, because we see that Jacob and Melissa are actually going to be great roommates together. They like the same shows, they like the same food, they have the same opinions about certain things. It's like, okay, they're really bonding, but it is throwing off the dynamic of the friend group to the max. I mean, everybody looks salty. No one can figure out who they can throw jabs at, what the dynamic is. Ava even has to roast Mr. Johnson, and he doesn't take it well. Now, this hurt a little bit. I don't like to see my faves fighting.
Everyone needs to leave Mr. Johnson alone. What has he done to all of you right now? Like, oh my God, it was... this was a rough couple of episodes for Mr. Johnson. I hate that they are doing this to our favorite. Excellent acting by William Stanford Davis, but on the other hand, like, leave him alone. Let him get a win in this season.
That's a good point. Mr. Johnson hasn't had a standalone storyline. I wonder when we're going to start to just give us what we're looking for, y'all. Because come on, y'all. Quinta, you hear us? Come on, stop it. Give Mr. Johnson an episode.
NAACP Image Award winner.
Yes.
That is Flowers. on the show. And I think like the career day, he was excellent. He had a really funny end credit scene in episode 8 with the panel. But I want to see a little more of him. Like, what is his storyline this season so far has just kind of been like he isn't getting invited to stuff.
Right. And I don't like that. I need him to get some friends. I need him to kind of get more ingratiated into this teacher group, because I feel like they're othering Mr. Johnson right now and I don't like it. So I'm sure there'll be more of that to come, but hopefully the writers address it this season, or we have to write it. You know, we will send letters. We will write strongly worded emails to Quinta Brunson.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Demanding her presence on this podcast, by the way. I'm just saying, if we're going to email her, we might as well, you know, she might as well show up. But
I know you're listening. Just like, you know, just check your DMs. That's all I'm saying.
That's all we're saying. Listen, Ava goes to trash talk Jacob, and that's how Mr. Johnson catches his stray. But Gia, I'm sorry. Like I understand Ava a bit, you know, and don't get me wrong. Ava, you know, we're a pro Ava podcast. We say that every week. But I just feel like the delicate balance is thrown off to where it's very clear. Like this is not a secret alliance of people. They're almost, I won't say they're parading it in front of them, but you can't just be sitting around sending memes to people in the same room as other people.
Who does that?
That's a dangerous game. It's a dangerous game, Gia.
And I'm sorry, Jacob had a very roastable shirt on.
He did.
He needs to be able to face the consequences of his actions without Melissa being there to protect him at every chance. Like, it is fair game.
Yeah, she set him up for failure. You know, she picked the shirt out for him, and then, you know, but she did protect him. But I just feel like if they're sitting around, and, you know, if you've ever been in a group of people and you can tell two people are texting, you're like, what are y'all talking about? What is this? What's going on? Give me the phone. You know, like, give me these things. I guess as an educator, I felt that before, because I'm like, hey, you kids, give me the phones. What are y'all doing? But even like in a friend group, you know, like, you're giggling and you're giggling. I want the meme. I want to laugh, you know? So I kind of felt the other teachers on this one. I'm not saying Jacob and Melissa got to break up, but at least let us in on y'all, you know, on y'all shenanigans. The rest of us want to play too.
I did enjoy that they were so kind of wrapped up in their little world that they were convinced that they were throwing off the entire ecosystem of Abbott Elementary. And maybe for a few days they were. However, I think like once we get to the story arc conclusion of this episode, with them both admitting to everybody that they're friends, they're going, like, everyone's kind of whatever about it. They're happy the roommate situation's working out. But again, the only white on white friendship that we are truly invested in the success of is Ben and Jerry's. So there's, you know, there's only so much we can do here. I think the Abbott ecosystem is a little stronger than maybe Jacob and Melissa are giving it credit for. It was off balance for a bit, but it'll bounce right back.
Well, okay. Look, not to jump around too much, but I'll challenge you on that. During episode 8, we see that Jacob and Melissa's friendship is still front of mind for many people, because Jacob and Melissa, they're single and they're mingling, and it seems like everybody's not as tapped in. Gregory seems to know what's going on with Jacob. Melissa doesn't know what's going on with Jacob. Barbara doesn't know what's going on with Melissa, and
Quinta doesn't
Janine has
text. Quinta doesn't check her phone.
Yeah, she doesn't answer her text, so she's missing everything. But it seems like she would have gotten the news about Jacob. But there's some secrets going around. Now, when this friendship became, okay, this is the hookup house, Gia, how did you feel about this storyline? Because our girls are single now.
I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I love it so much. Now listen, I know I've been saying I want Janine to be in her hoe era for a little bit, just for a little bit, because she's single and she has the right, and she was with the same man for like a million years. However, I will take this secondary, because maybe Janine is just not that type of person, and that's fine. But there are other people on the cast that are this type of person, and they deserve to be in their hoe eras as well. And as much as I understand Barbara being upset about her not getting the tea as often as you know, like Jacob and Janine and everybody, but like, come on, it's Barbara, you know? Like, should she really seem like the type of person that's going to want to hear about the hookup that you're having? Like, it's just sex. Barbara, especially again, she was just celebrating her anniversary. Her and Gerald are all happy all the time. You need single friends to gossip with about this. And also, though, like, I don't think Jacob would know if he wasn't living with Melissa and the fireman ate his cereal. Like, that's just, I don't think Melissa, I think Jacob found out because of circumstance that he happens to just be in the living facilities.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't really talked about it, but Melissa, we see you with the captain over there. We called it. We did. There's been some chemistry. We know she loves a firefighter, and it shows.
And also, I did recently, I said I was rewatching season 2. I got to the fire episode, and he is the same captain in that episode too. So they knew what they were doing bringing this man back.
I see you, Kurt Hummel's dad, Mike O'Malley. I see you. Yeah. I support this relationship though. See, that's the thing, Gia. As much as I would love to be like, yeah, Melissa, do your thing, be in the streets. I kind of like them together.
I know.
She's like, it's casual. I'm like, what does it have to be? Go ahead and link up. I like this. Keep doing that.
Here's my thing. I think that it could potentially, like, they both seem pretty good with this relationship right now as it is, right? And even at the end when Melissa like cancels her plans with him to go out with Barbara and stuff like that, he seems like he is totally fine with it, does not care. He'll text her Monday, all the good stuff. But like, I think this is more the vibe that Melissa is looking for. And I think I'm not ruling out that this could eventually turn into them becoming something more serious. And I think maybe that's a good start. When Melissa first got with Gary, he was, he was more serious right away. And look how that turned out for it. And maybe this is kind of more the vibe that Melissa needs from a long-term partner, that eventually they are, if they do decide to go the route that they're going to be more serious, they'll still be more casual about it. They're probably he's not going to be wanting to get married or anything like that. And that might be more the vibe that we need for our girl Melissa here. So I'm not ruling out that this could eventually turn into something a little more serious.
Okay, so that means we're out on Gary. He's done. We're done with him.
I mean, I would still like Gary to return as like a special guest every once in a while, but after the proposal that Melissa didn't want, I was kind of already out on them as a couple. Like, I don't think they're getting back together at any point, and I think that's kind of a perfect ending for their relationship. They split amicably, but they very much want different things.
Right, and that's okay. No need to force it. But Gia, I do miss Zack, and seeing Jacob moving on, I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm sorry.
Okay. I do. Listen, my problem is that I love Zack as a character like I loved Tyreek as a character. But we can still get Zack without Jacob being in there. And another thing that I realized rewatching season 2, which has been like a really great filler episode, we got a decent amount of Zack, but not a lot of his scenes were actually with Jacob. Like, even in like the Valentine's Day episode, his arc was more with Ava, and he had more scenes with her than Jacob. So I don't know if they were planning for them to break up in season 3 at that point, or if like that was like they have like a full arc plan for these characters. But I do kind of think that like Zack is a character that stands up on his own, and a lot of his best scenes are not actually with Jacob. So he volunteers as a music teacher. We could definitely be getting him in the mix of like semi-regular guests, like how we get Tyreek every couple episodes in there. Like, they know what they have with the magic of Tyreek there. That man is not going away anytime soon.
No, every time he pops up, I'm like, what? Because he goes from being the person who organized the fundraiser basketball game that they lost a bunch of money and paid Mr. Johnson to be the DJ and rented a gym at Abbott. There's a lot going on here for Tyreek. But now in this second episode panel, he is the moderator of the panel, and also I guess the referee and scorekeeper, because this panel has now become a competition show. And I I have been to plenty of panel. I'm sure you have as well, being that we were kind of in the same realm. And the show was making some points. The panels do be feeling like who can get up there and say like the nice little sound bite and sit down. You know, it really, I don't know how much substance comes from those panels. It feels like you're just kind of listening to people flex a little bit. At least that's from my experiences. So I appreciated Abbott presenting it like that.
Yeah, it's very much I think when you get to certain types of panels, especially panels about very serious topics like the public school system of Philly, it does seem like it's a bit of a grandstanding contest of like who can say the most beautiful nothing. And it feels very like empty, like very vapid until we start actually looking into like what can we actually do about this stuff. Like, yes, it's great for Tatiana Ali to be saying the children are the future, but like what are we actually doing to solidify these children's futures for a greater purpose? It does get a little bit like that. Like, it's nice to get a day off from work, but also like at what cost?
Right. And I think another thing is that a lot of these panels be for the people by the people as well, right? So it's like a panel of educators talking to educators. You don't have to tell me that we're underfunded and that, you know, parent involvement is at a low and that, you know, all these other things. We know, we all work together. So I saw the same thing you saw.
Around.
Right. You should be bringing in people from outside telling us how to fix this. And a lot of times it's just like, tell us what you considered, what worked for you. It's like, we know this kind of stuff. It's like if it worked for me, I would be doing it. Go get somebody who does something completely different.
Every pamphlet of every school you could possibly have in the entire United States. Like, we are well aware of all of this. Now, what are we actually going to be doing to like finding solutions in there? And I kind of do wish that more panels were like competitions or being able to like fight one another on issues, because like, what else are we doing this panel for if not to exchange ideas or to be a little competitive with one another?
Right. Like I said, there's been some panels that I've sat in and I've learned a lot. But a lot of times it's when it's the person has, like, I have no clue what the person's field is, or they came in and they have a completely different experience than I've had. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be happy to sit here and listen. But if it's Ava's school and versus Tatiana Ali's school, and we'll get to that in just a second, it's like two schools competing and talking about what schools do. It's like, we know what the other schools do. I wish I could work there, or I'm glad I don't work there, you know. But a lot of times you're sitting there thinking, this is not something that's feasible for my institution, or this is something that if I tried to bring to the table, it would get shot down because we ain't got no money, you know? And so more of that conversation to come. But speaking of money, Gia, Abbott got money. Okay, Abbott Elementary, we talked about this. We got money this season. We got Jalen Hurst. We got Bradley Cooper. We've mentioned Tatiana Ali. We got Cree Summer. Gia, we got Cree Summer.
Literally, if you think you do not know who Cree Summer is, you do. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. She has voiced every Black character that has ever existed at least once before.
At least once.
At least once. I am such a huge fan of her. I was so excited when I heard, because they announced, I believe it was Tatiana Ali, Cree Summer, and Keegan and Michael Key at the same time as like they're going to be on future episodes. I didn't realize they were all going to be like back-to-back episodes
back
together.
To back.
But it was like whiplash. I'm like, oh my God, they got money. And but Cree Summer as the librarian was genius. She was so good this episode. And I think they did a really good choice here with giving her a character that does voices, like reading out loud to the kids and everything. It was perfect casting. I don't expect her to be like on multiple times or become like a regular character, but I would love for her to be kind of like in the mix as a Abbott, like a regular staff member, if that makes sense. Like when we start getting those big meetings, she's there, or start getting a little bit, because I kind of missed that. Like I feel like we got a lot more last season of the cafeteria
The
workers,
cafeteria staff, yeah.
the nurses, the other staff members, and I think part of it is just because of the strike, but we haven't gotten a ton of that this season. And I hope it changes soon because I miss that. I miss the interactions with the other Abbott staff.
Yeah, but if you're right and we get Cree Summer just periodically throughout this show, it's like, how could you make this show better? You throw Cree Summer in it, and this is a great storyline. Like you said, she was perfect casting for this. So the idea is that we know Janine has been trying to get across her librarian program. She's come up with this idea where she goes and she wants to have the libraries in schools. They want to have them like stocked with an actual librarian, because imagine that libraries need librarians, as per Gregory's quote. But they were going to go to some colleges, get some library studies students to come and do these jobs. And in the first of these 2 episodes, we see this program in action as Cree Summer is hired as the librarian. The kids love her because what kid does not like Cree Summer? Like, it's just impossible. I'm sorry, Barbara. I love you to death, but I'm sorry. This woman raised me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to tell you.
This is an actual, this is actually my second mother here. Like, exactly. I don't know if you know that, but
right. Yes. Yeah, Barbara's like a cool auntie, but like when Cree Summer comes in, when Cree leaves, then Barbara can be my mama again, but not right now. Exactly. And so
she's been furloughed for the time being,
just for a little bit, and she can tell. I think in this episode, it's very clear that we've seen this before, where Barbara she's not the most susceptible to change, right? When someone comes in and says, "Oh, I have this new fancy way of doing something," a lot of times with technology and stuff, Barbara's like, "No, that's not going to work." And sometimes Barbara's right. We saw with Barbara and Melissa were putting their foot down against the landmark, conversation. Like, we don't need that. There's several things that Janine will be like, we got to have this stuff at Abbott. And they're like, no, Abbott has what Abbott needs. We just need to be the best for Abbott. Mm-hmm. But sometimes Barbara is wrong. Mm-hmm. And when it happens, I think that's another thing that just does not suit the ecosystem well, because Barbara is wrong this entire episode. She wants to shut down the librarian program. She doesn't want to, I don't know if she wants to shut it down. She just doesn't want to be involved in any of the rules or regulations of the program. Yeah. She doesn't want to do appointments. She wants to check out whatever she wants to check out. She wants to come and go when she wants to go. This was probably not my favorite Barbara episode, Gia.
I mean, I think this is a really great example of sometimes our favorite characters are not right. I think all of the main cast members have been wrong at least once. But I think Barbara is kind of the natural enemy of a program like this, where beforehand she was able to pick out books whenever she wanted and be able to use the library whenever she would like. But the library wasn't getting a lot of use. It wasn't reaching its full potential of like what the actual use of a library is for. Because if you go to a public library, you can't just go out, grab the books you want and leave. You have to, there's steps in there. And that's the good thing about having a librarian here. So I think this was a really effective use of Barbara's character, but yeah, she was not right a single time in the episode, except for like that last 2 minutes when we read her review.
Yeah, she ate that one little thing.
She ate that one crumb.
Yeah, you're right, Barbara. This just doesn't sit well with her, because she's just used to doing things the way that she's used to doing them. I used to work at an institution. I worked there for 6 years. Well, that's like 5-ish years, but I worked there, and in higher ed, it's a lot of turnover. And so by year 3, I was like a senior staff member, and then by year 5, I could do whatever I wanted. It's like, no, I'll call the office. Oh, you need an override for that? It's fine. I'll just do it. And everybody's like, oh, he's got it. Chappell's got it. Like, no one questioned it. Then I switched institutions, and I was like, wait, I gotta do what everybody else is doing. First of all, I have to be at my desk all day. I can't just wander around talking to all my friends. It was very much a change that I wasn't ready for, and I ain't like it. So I totally understand what Barbara was talking about here. But Janine's program seems like a good one. Cree Summer is amazing. The kids love her. And like you said, she does voices. Now, this is a fight that Barbara does not know that she was always going to lose. If you got Barbara versus Cree Summer doing voices, Gia, you brought a knife to a gunfight.
Any voice actor, any actor going against Cree Summer in a voice off, it's just going to lose. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I cannot tell me a more iconic voice actor, please. I beg you. You can't.
Yeah. The limit does not exist.
You can't.
Yeah.
It's just, you're gonna lose, and it's gonna be embarrassing that you thought that you weren't gonna lose there.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna lose in style because Cree is just a better dresser than you either. So it's like, what was the point?
Man, I was loving that Pharrell hat, you know, the big Arby's hat. I was kind of feeling it too.
I do like that they mentioned the hat in like the very beginning of there. Like they made sure the hat was known.
I mean, you couldn't miss it, right?
Yeah.
Barbara can do voices as well. She sounds like I'm sure it was a story of the tortoise and the hare, but it was very Jamaican. I caught that. But again, Cree Summer, that's number 5, baby. You know, I can't unhear it. You know, I'm sorry. You know, so
that's Quinta from Atlantis. That's all. Yeah, yes. I'm sorry. There's too many. There's too many.
Name her things. You know, I'm just saying.
Storm at one point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if she wasn't Storm, she needs to be.
I'd
you know,
I'm saying she wasn't Storm at one point, but like that was Storm.
Yeah, the voice of a generation. This lady is. I'm sorry, she just is. So that said, you know, eventually Barbara comes around. Janine has to stand up for herself because Gregory is insisting that she realizes that Barbara can be wrong and you can speak up for what is right here. Gregory, underrated storyline. He loves a good library. He loves organization. And this might have been his favorite moment since he started working at Abbott, because he was like, librarians are good for libraries. Libraries need books. Books are good. Barbara's bad. Barbara's wrong. Get into it. I'm glad he said it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Gregory is also a big nerd for organization. So seeing the books actually finally organized in a way that makes sense was just like the cherry on top of this whole storyline. Gregory's whole purpose this episode was to just geek out about the fact that they finally have a functioning library. And he does it so well. This is like peak Gregory right here. But he's also able to help Janine towards the end of the episode, where she really feels like she has to choose between Barbara, or like give in to Barbara's demands really, versus a program that's actually working for everybody else besides Barbara, and make her realize just because Barbara means so much to you and has been like that person to help mentor you, that does not mean that like she also can't be wrong, especially for an instance like this where it seems to be working for everybody but her.
Janine telling Barbara she was wrong and then running away. That was classic Janine. She's like, she couldn't even stand in that moment. She had to go.
Barbara also telling Janine that her office hour was not until next week. She also ate that one little crumb there too. I forgot about that, but yes.
She said it's not until next week, and also it's for students, and you're not a student. I was like, oh, ooh. Look, okay, Barbara. You know, okay, Barbara. I see you, girl. I see you. You did. Back to the money. Episode 2, we see that they are having to do some professional development. They have to go get their CPR training. Janine has to do that, but she also kind of wants to be at the panel, and she has to have a conversation with the superintendent because her program, it does not have the backing from the universities that it thought it would have. And so without that, they cannot afford librarians, and so it will get squashed. So she needs to go see Keegan-Michael Key. We got money, Gia. Yeah, Keegan-Michael Key as a superintendent who doesn't. We got money here at Abbott, the show, but Abbott, the school district Abbott's in, they don't got no money.
This was so good. This was a great pick for an overzealous superintendent here, because he asked the important questions. Is it free? Because they like free. And unfortunately, because they are so focused on it being free, it is not tempting to a lot of these institutions to make it part of their regular program. It does not meet the accreditation that they need for people within those programs. So other than the experience, it doesn't necessarily have like full, what's the word for it? Like, it does not have like the appeal that they're hoping it would for the people supplying the librarians in there. So that's where they're really coming to a crossroads with this program.
Yeah, eventually Janine will have to go to, I mean, it's a dirty word, but community college to get some volunteers for this. And this is so funny to me. I've worked at community college before.
Yes.
Community colleges are amazing. They're
I
great for people.
Yeah, I actually went to community college for my first year of college. Like my just going from my high school into college, we did my first year there, and it was a great experience. It definitely made me have a lot more respect for community colleges, but the professors there are amazing. You can meet a lot of different people, make a lot of different friends. It's almost kind of like an introduction to the workplace, because like I had no business having my bestie in like intro to public speaking being like a 50-year-old woman, but here I
Yes.
am doing that damn thing. And it's just it's great to have like that mixed experience in there. It's such a fun time. It was really cool to like meet all of the different people, different professors there. And yeah, so it was kind of an incredible experience. So I'm really glad that they do make the connection between like, yeah, like our school system doesn't get a lot of attention, community colleges doesn't have a lot of attention. So like let's go check this out, see what they're about. And Manny went to community college as well.
Yeah. Um, you're 100% correct. Community colleges are amazing and
Mhm.
they're affordable. Take it from the educators on this panel. It's the two
Yeah.
of us. We are telling you, the community colleges are worth it. They're affordable. A lot of times, people don't know this, but a lot of times the same professors that work at community college, they work at the big 4-year school down the street too,
Yep.
because they don't make a lot of money. And so they will go and teach adjunct classes at the community college too. So you're probably getting the same professor you would get at the other school
Yeah.
anyway. You're just paying a fraction of the cost. And a lot of times you can just ease into the college experience as opposed to getting thrown in completely. Take a couple classes at the community college before you start school. Maybe, during the winters, take a mini semester, maybe a summer semester. It'll save so much money. Because think
Mhm.
about it. You could pay um, hundreds of thousands of dollars essentially to take the same basic classes you could take at a community college for a fraction of the cost, and your degree at the end of the day, it will still say that you went to the school that you graduated from. It's not
Yeah.
going to say um I went to Penn by way of this other community college. Like, no one cares. No
Yeah.
one cares that you got your first 30 credits from a community college. Once you have your degree, no one's looking at that. So
Yeah.
it's just a move to make. I like that the show addresses that. It's like almost like, oh, it's kind of like, oh, the community college is even saying we don't get this kind of attention. People normally ignore us, but we would love these opportunities.
Yeah, I don't know the actor that played it was like the vice president of the community college.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but he was so good here in his little Zoom call that he was included on. But he seemed like just genuinely excited. This was a great choice for it. I hope we get to see more of him here too.
Yeah, I thought because the way he was approaching the conversation, I thought he was about to tell us something about the community college that was like bad. He's like,
Yeah,
oh, people don't call our school. And I was thinking, oh no, it's not a community college, it's a correctional facility or
yeah,
something like that where they take classes. But it turns out, no, community college is just a dirty word for a lot of people. They don't
yeah,
like to talk about it. People who look down on community college is really about status. It has nothing to do with the education that you can get from a community college. It's
yeah,
really that you just like some form of elitism where you're like, I'm too good to go to this school. When in
yeah,
reality, anything that can save you some money in the world of education, I say go with it as long as your credits transfer.
yeah.
If you can use the credits, go get them. Um, the other four, like the other two people I have to talk about when it comes to money, um, Tatiana Ali. We've skated around it several times, and Brandon Kyle Goodman are in this show, and Tatiana Ali. I'll get to her in a second. Brandon Kyle Goodman is
Richard
another
Kyle
voice.
Williams.
Yeah, Richard Tyler Williams, which is a great name. Um, is another voice actor. People might know them from Big Mouth or Human Resources. So I was happy to see Brandon Kyle Goodman here in person because we just went from Cree Summer's voice. I mean, don't get me wrong, people know Cree Summer as the actress as well, but she's best known probably for her voice. I would say the same thing about Brandon Kyle Goodman, but Tatiana Ali shows up. Gia, my mouth was on the floor. I was not prepared. It's Ashley. Ashley Banks is here. What? I have nothing. I again, another
I was
person who I grew
so
up with.
they're really tapping into like childhood with these choices here. And she was so good the entire, I hated her so much this episode. That's how I know she was so good. And as one of Ava's sorority sisters as well, genius. I think that like, it's not too often that we really see someone try to one-up Ava. You know, like people will say things behind her back. They complain that she's not really doing what she's supposed to do and all of that stuff. But we don't really see someone try to really challenge her. So it's good to see her interact with somebody that knows her and is kind of like that source of ire for her this episode, especially since a few episodes ago we heard about Ava dealing with some mean girls in her sorority.
Yeah. I love this storyline because I feel like it feels real. Ava's thesis here is basically, this is my enemy. We're in the same sorority, so we have to be friends, or at least frenemies at best.
Yes.
We're mortal enemies. But the worst thing I can do is admit that I don't like this person. Gia, have you ever been in a situation like this?
Oh yeah, work all the time. Like all the time. Not necessarily the job I'm at now, but like there's a couple people in there. But like if I let you know that you bother me, I lose, right?
I lose.
But I can can sprinkle in some little comments in there that I know will just throw you off your groove for the day. And I know I've done my job.
Yeah. Ava is very much in competition with Tatiana Ali's character. She is the shining star. We know Ava is really trying to be there, but this woman has tried to one-up Ava ever since they were in the sorority. She even became a principal before Ava just to spite Ava.
The nerve.
Yeah, absolutely disgusting. And so by the end of the panel, I mean, throughout the episode, Ava's school is losing. Abbott is not keeping up on the panel. Gregory and Ava were not prepared for a competition. They did not know there would be scores taken. But Tatiana Ali's school, that's what they came here to do. They came here to win this battle. They came here to score the most points. They came here to dunk, and that's what they're doing.
I'm sorry, and I love that they made the twist be that they are actually judging a panel, so that they are actually scoring the panel, kind of informally, but like Tariq doesn't know what he's doing, so it's kind of perfect. And then they had Janine and Jacob come at the very end and wondering why they're keeping score at a panel. However, I do think that this was a little bit of ill. You know, I don't like to speak ill of Ava, but I think if she went in knowing that this was a one-up off of like who can kiss the most ass at a panel, I think she is way better off picking somebody like Melissa or Jacob, someone that will take it like very personally to go and try to one-up the other people there versus someone like Gregory, who, yes, he was the teacher of the year last year. But in terms of like, he even says it this episode, he's talking about how he's not a grandstander. He is someone, he's like, they ask me a question, I won't answer it. And that is very much who he is. He has no plans of changing it. And, you know, is he competitive? Yes. But in the way that like Ava needs him to be competitive here, no. Because Gregory, I don't think can really lie.
Yeah. And Ava likes to lie. She loves it, actually. And so when they ask her a question, she goes above and beyond grandstanding, but she doesn't really say anything. A lot of times these questions aren't even directed at Ava. She just feels like she needs to step in. And so Gregory tells her, hey, how about you don't say anything? And Ava says, okay, well, how about you grandstand a little bit? And so Gregory goes in and he starts saying phrases like, if you balance your breakfast, you'll balance your blessings. And he gets no response because he's not saying anything of substance until Gia, the king, shows up. Mr. Bonson from Abbott Elementary asked Ava a question about her extracurriculars on campus, the step team, the garden club, etc. Gia, we haven't really talked about it, but this season, in matter of fact, since season 1, for Abbott to be underfunded and to be painted as a school that is just doing the best with what they have a lot of cool stuff for the kids. Because I didn't even realize of those two things, the step team, the garden club, the podcast club. There's so much going on at Abbott. They need to be able to flex a little bit.
Yeah, and there really are like some extra things that you wouldn't be able to find at other places here. And we know them as like fun side plots for the purpose of the show. Like the whole Jacob and Barbara being bad at gardening, but really enjoying it, and Gregory with his experience needing to fix everything. And it just turned into like a reoccurring story within like the Abbott Elementary lore here. And I love that they're still bringing those things up, because this is a lot of opportunities here that we don't necessarily like, that are not at other schools, but it really underlies the antithesis of the show, which is like the thesis of the show, which is basically like they do a whole lot with a whole lot of nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for some reason, Ava and Gregory, they miss that. They don't think about that when they come in, because for them, it's just normal. This is just normal Abbott task. You know, we have the step team because the kids needed something to do after school, and Ava is a person who steps. And so she made it happen. You know, it was just like, we just did it. Gregory in the garden, and you know, even with the kids coming to his classroom, he's a cool teacher. He has to open his classroom up because the kids need a place to hang out. Mr. Johnson is the one who had to tell them, hey, we're not about grandstanding. We have things here. Abbott's a good school. And I was like, look at my boy. Look at him. Just
yes.
They've been so rude to him this season, though. I mean, look at him carrying the season already.
Carrying this whole institution on his back.
Yeah, they give him his things, y'all. Quinta, give him his things. Yeah. This does throw Tatiana Ali's character off balance a little bit. She starts grandstanding, but to me, it wasn't hitting the same after this, because I think she said something like, oh, well, at my school, that we have a daycare program because learning knows no age. And I was like, what does that even mean?
What do you mean a daycare at a school? Wait, so like, is she at an elementary school as well?
Yeah, she's saying like we just have like literally a daycare in the school.
I think, yeah, I think like they have like kids that are too young to go to be
to school
there. They have like a baby
like an actual
so you're just letting little kids like run around at school. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
but like,
this didn't give what you thought it did.
And I turned out great, but I was at someone's house. I didn't need to go to a legendary charter to go to daycare, Miss Ali.
Yeah, I didn't like this. I was like, oh, okay, I need more information. I've worked at schools that had daycares, but it's because their kids was grown and they had children.
They had, the kids had kids.
The kids had kids. This does not sound like that. Eventually, Crystal will admit defeat. I mean, not even on purpose, but Ava can tell that Crystal is hating on her success, including, more specifically, the camera crew that we've been addressing a lot more this season as well. So Crystal's like, oh, it's funny that you pay this camera crew to document your dealings. That's cute. And she kind of looks down her nose at it before Ava says, oh no, they called us. They wanted to follow our greatness and our glow up. So get into it. And so Ava wins this fight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially when I love this end line. She say, if she didn't have 3 beautiful children and a husband at home, she could accomplish so much more. Which all Ava hears from that is Ava has done more.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
She could do more if she was like Ava, but she is not like Ava. She chose to get married and have children. And Ava is above that. She is accomplishing all of these other things. Her staff is sexy. She's not even talking about Gregory when she says this. She said, Barbara, Melissa, Janine on a good day. You know, she had to throw that in there.
She did. Yeah.
Yes.
But she's not wrong. She's not wrong. Abbott,
they picked a very attractive. I figured Ava would be picking staff based on attractiveness. So this is, you know, like she knows who her favorites are, and she has good reason for that.
Yeah. The last little bit of the storyline that we haven't really talked about is the CPR training. Janine has to do it in order to be a teacher. She has to have that renewed. And I think this is more of us seeing, obviously, some shenanigans. You know, we love seeing people do CPR training before that. People talk about that other show that has an iconic CPR episode as well. We won't mention his name. We said it enough on this podcast. But here we get some similar shenanigans. But more importantly, I think the thing that stood out to me was that throughout the season, we have been outlining that Janine kind of misses Abbott. You know, she's not tapped in on the gossip, the drama. She misses her kids. I don't know. Do you think she makes it through this entire season without coming back home?
I don't know. I think the season is and again, I don't know how many episodes we have this season. I don't even know if it's been like confirmed.
Oh, I think it is. Hold on, I'll look it up
What
while you
it is.
talk. Uh-huh.
So but I think the season is going to end with Janine ending the fellowship. But I'm wondering if it's going to be because she completed it, because I think it's for like 6 months, or if she's going to drop out along the way. And I hope
Mhm.
it's not that one. I hope it's just she completes it and just has a new appreciation for her position as a teacher, and that like that's really where she feels like she belongs, similar to how the first season Gregory really realizes that like to be a principal he has to really develop an understanding of the
Teaching.
school system and what the teachers
Mhm.
do on a day-to-day basis. um so I do think that there's like a purpose for it. I'm curious to see how that whole part ends.
Yeah, from what I can tell, Abbott is going to have only 14 episodes
I hate it.
this season. Yeah, so we're already past the halfway point as of this podcast. And yeah, I could see both of those things happening for sure. I can definitely see Janine being like, I just need to come home to my kids. I miss it. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
But I don't want that. I really want her to be able to immerse herself in this experience, become a better educator, and then take some of the stuff that she got from the district back to Abbott. And now that I think about it, I'm sure we'll get a version of that. You know, they really lean into the district storyline very early on. Like in the first episode, it was very important that Janine was going to do this. But I mean, aside from the library program, we haven't seen a lot. So maybe she just does the librarian program, gets it off the ground, and she's known for that. And then she comes
Yeah.
home. The other part of the district that we haven't really talked about either is Manny. In episode 1 and 2 ish, it felt like Manny was a potential love interest, maybe for
Mhm.
there was some longing glances. I don't really get that anymore. Are you still picking up on that, or is that just me?
I think there is some interest there, but also there is a clear conflict of interest if Manny was hooking up with or made a move on the like fellowship the fellow that they picked for the fellowship here.
Mhm.
So, and like realistically it just doesn't seem like that anything would happen while she's still in the fellowship. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's like the finale cliffhanger is like
Oh.
Manny confesses that. I still think it could potentially be something. I think that if it does, it could be like if Janine leaves the fellowship at the end, like that her timing is run out and she's planning on going back to Abbott, that would be something, that would be the time for Manny to make a move, if a move is to
Mhm.
be made. Um, Manny would definitely be my office crush, like not necessarily planning on doing anything about it, but like they're there, they're nice to look at. So I don't know. They're just two nerds like geeking out about the public school system. So who knows?
You know who I miss? Where is Maurice? Bring us back Mo. What
I do
happened?
miss Mo. Vince
Yeah,
Staples has his own show now, and it's just
he's too big for us.
I know he's just listen. They got money, but they don't have Vince Staples show money, and I
That's
I kind
different.
of hate that. I just want him back as like I don't even know what he'd do anymore, but like as like just I want to know that like him and Gregory are going to be able to be friends again and or have him return in some form. I do miss Mo though. He was
I
a
miss
fun
Mo.
he was a fun little date for the time being.
I miss Mo and Erica. Bring us more of our
Oh
people.
my god. Yeah, because we got a mention of Erica in the first episode where Janine was talking about her and Jacob and Erica started going to brunch.
Yeah.
The brunch bunch.
Mhm.
And we haven't really seen or heard from her since. And I really miss Erica. I think if like all the characters we haven't seen this season yet, I really need Erica to come back at some point.
Yeah, you brought up the writer strike earlier. That's probably a part of it, with this being a condensed season, only having 14 episodes. We don't get a lot of our other tertiary characters outside
Yeah.
of our core five like we used to, but we're bringing in a lot of special guests, and I'm loving it. So keep that going. I think the last little storyline that we're going to talk about is that Jacob has hooked up with multiple paramedics at this point. Gia,
and Gregory knows all of them, which is my favorite part about all of this, is that Gregory not only receives this information, but he has processed it to where when Janine is talking about how Jacob is hooking up with a paramedic, he has to ask which one and knows them both by name.
Yeah, he's tapped in. This is a good friendship. It is.
This is a good friendship. I love it so much.
Gregory should probably advise Jacob not to hook up with paramedics on Melissa's roof.
I would say that, and also just like there aren't other like fire stations around here. Like you guys they're able to like compare notes with each other and talk about Avi showing the fire captain his text about like, look how coy he is, and he's like, that's no one does that. That's not a thing.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting too. The fire captain and Avi being locked in. I was like, okay, y'all got a friendship too. I like
they
all
are
of this.
the Jacob and Gregory of the fire station.
Yeah, which is interesting because we see Avi at the end. Speaking of coy, he pulls a move. He basically tells Jacob he's not invited to him. He's like, oh yeah, I'm not coming with you to the panel that he wasn't even invited to.
Yeah,
He's like, oh, okay. And for some reason, that little bit of that move right there just really packed Jacob up, because now Jacob's like, am I in love with this man?
Yeah.
Just because he went out of his way to turn me down, even though I was not asking to go out with him.
Am I Jacob? Am I Jacob?
Toxic. All toxic.
I don't think I've ever related to Jacob more than in that moment, but like I see him, I get what he's feeling right there. But I know, I think Avi, he tried to one up him. I don't know. I'm not feeling the Jacob Avi thing as like a long-term thing. I think Jacob is having fun being single, and if we get some more guest stars as like Jacob's hookups over the rest of this season, I'd be happy. But now that Jacob is single, I just feel like there are so many possibilities for him. I want like a teacher to come in that like we get like enemies to lovers or something, or like some grand like love story outside of Janine and Gregory, because he's been so supportive of the Janine and Gregory relationship. And it's so funny to see that he's still on the Janine and Gregory train, and that he is just waiting with all of us to see it happen. But I also want some grand love story for Jacob as well. I want him to find his man, and for it to be like I want to be kicking my feet when it happens, and just like be super excited for him. So I hope we get to see more for Jacob in the upcoming seasons.
Fingers crossed. But Gia, those are 2 episodes. So it was nice. It was good. Nice. It was good. But Abbott has us on hiatus. I think the next episode, Abbott episode 9, drops on April 10th. So we tried to space these podcasts out to where you didn't have to like out on us for a month, but we'll be back in roughly 2 weeks to talk about episode 9 called Alex. And I don't know what that means.
Alex, wait,
who is Alex?
I didn't even know we had the titles dropped yet.
Yeah, well, look, I'll be doing the research, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not to spoil anybody, but the description says Jacob is shocked when he finds out his colleagues are not invested in his frequent email messages and haven't even been writing their own replies. Gregory turns to Janine for help with a former student. So maybe Alex is the former student.
Interesting.
Okay.
Right. I'm
we
intrigued.
Shall see.
Do we have the episode 10 one too, or just 9?
Just 9. Really just 9.
I hate that.
They're driving me crazy.
I know. Stop playing coy. We're gonna watch no matter what. You don't have to keep us in suspense.
Right. Am I in love? Am I Jacob now? Look, exactly. They're doing it. Yeah, they're breadcrumbing us, and it's working. And and as long as it's working, we will be here to talk about Abbott Elementary. So Gia, thank you again for coming back to talk to me about these most recent 2 episodes. What else do you have going on?
So most of it is Survivor 46 related. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Classically Gia for all television shenanigans. On Silent Podcast, I am doing the weekly recaps of Survivor 46 on my podcast, I Don't Know About That. Also on Silent Podcast, the Quick Fire Queens are back to be talking about Top Chef season 21. We have a new host, some new twists, and so far it's been a great season. I'm excited to see where we move forward from here. And also Survivor 46 related, I'm also doing the weekly roundups on Inside Survivor with my good friend Christine Palin. So keep an eye out for that as well. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we got to get you on more spots on the kickback. You know, right now you're like
I sent you a yes.
Me and Mario are working on it. We've been talking. It's in development. We got it. We're working on it. We do need to talk about that off air.
I'm just saying that, like, when
you sent your proposal,
we are ready. When my proposal has been reviewed and approved, I would like a call because I feel very strongly about this proposal. And yes, I would love to have more spots on the kickback as well.
Yeah, look, especially after seeing Cree Summer on episode 7, I think that might be, if we were looking for a sign that we needed to address your proposal, that might have been the sign. As for me, recapkickback.com is where you can always find me and what I have going on here. If you've been tuning in, you have heard Mari, Ty, and I talk about Freak Nick, the best Hulu documentary about a party that nobody has ever talked about, because you can't talk about Freak Nick unless you're going to talk about all the freak stuff. And so it's a great time. Check out that. It was a great documentary. Honestly, it was so informative, so educational. It was dope. Check it out, recapkickback.com. Also over here, talking about, oh God, what is on the list? There's so much. Oh, R.I.P. Lou Gossett Jr. We lost a legend this week. So RIP to him, prayers for his family and all that good stuff. We always got to give our flowers wherever we can. And then, of course, you can catch me on RHAP talking about Netflix shows on Nothing But Netflix. Josh Wigler and I talked about 3 Body Problem. It was great. It was fun to talk about it. We had special guest Christian Hubicki on to talk about that on Nothing But Netflix. Rob and I are still doing Survivor coverage over there on Club Condo every week, so that's a fun time. I'm doing Deal or No Deal exit interviews every week with the eliminated contestants from Deal or No Deal Island, and covering it on the Hit or Quit podcast feed with Rob and Jenny. And then Sasha Joseph and I are going live every Wednesday to talk about Below Deck. And so if you're a fan of any of those shows, check me out on RHAP. Check out Gia and all her various locations. And of course, we'll catch you next time here on recapkickback.com. You ain't got to go home, but class is over. Peace out. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.